So, my last question is, do you think someone needs perfect or nearly perfect English before moving to America? Hey, what's going on, everyone? It is awesome to see you again. Today, I have a collaboration video with another YouTuber named Summer Park. Summer was born in Korea, but now she lives and works in New York City. Summer and I got together to talk all about her life in New York, how she moved to America, and she gives some great tips for anyone interested in living in the US someday. If you want to live, work, or study in America, then this video will be perfect for you. Let's get into it. After watching this lesson, make sure to check out my website where you can learn about my premium English video courses and how to get in touch with me for one-on-one lessons together. Link in the description. Okay, well, thank you so much for meeting with me today, Summer. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great. How's your day going so far?
Great. I'm in New York, so it's a little bit chilly these days. Actually, really cold. But I'm trying to get myself warm every day, every second, as much as possible.
Yeah, I'm sure is it snowing there already?
Snowing? Yeah, actually, there was the first snow, I think, last week or something. So yeah.
Mm. So how long have you lived in New York?
So I first moved to New York in 2012, so that was already 7 years ago. But for 2 years, between 2015 and 16, I lived in Uganda, Africa. So in total, I have been in New York for 5 years. Yeah.
Very cool. Wow. I mean, a lot of people move to the US, but Uganda, that's pretty unique. So, what's the experience been like? Was it what you expected living here?
Mm. Well, okay. So I've been here for 5 years in total. And obviously there have been like ups and downs and ups and downs. It never
Mhm.
becomes very stagnant when it comes to how I feel about New York. Because I never lived in other parts of America. So all my experience that I will be talking about today will be only limited to New York. New York is dirty, really dirty compared to Korea.
I'm not surprised by that. Yeah, yeah. When I lived in
So
Seoul, I was like, oh my God, this place is so clean.
yeah, I'm sure Kansas is also very clean. I think it's just New York. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I think it's a lot easier for Kansas to be clean because there's like 6 people here. But in Seoul, it seemed like there was always people cleaning out on the streets and keeping everything organized. And I imagine they don't really have that in New York.
No, yeah. So that really frustrated me. And I was like, I didn't want to breathe in the subway. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and especially in the summer, the smell gets worse. But that's only, like a very small part of New York experience. And after, you know, after the first couple of months, I stopped thinking about the dirty parts of New York and try to actually meet real New Yorkers. And I wanted to learn how they live and how they think and how they do their business and stuff. It was so inspiring because in South Korea, I always had these ideas about education because I studied education. I'm an educator like yourself. I had a lot of ideas about education on how I can change this traditional style of Korean education. I had a notebook that always bring, and then whenever I have just different ideas for education, I would write it down, right? But in New York, the people that I met in the first year, they were already doing this side project besides their main work just to realize their dreams faster. But that was so shocking to me. Yeah, because I was always thinking, okay, I need to make enough money. I need to get my life basically organized to start something that I want to do. But in New York, it seems like everybody just tries and then they fail and then they try again, they fail again, and then that's how they grow. So that was really inspiring and very motivating to me to be more, I don't know, to be more creative and critical and to try something new. So yeah, that has been my New York experiences so far. I love New York City at this moment. I'm at the up. I think I'm like a few months ago I didn't like New York, but now I like New York, and I think it's going to be, how I feel about New York for the rest of my life if I yeah, as long as I live here. Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine it's very cool being in a place where there are so many ambitious entrepreneurs who aren't afraid to go out and take that risk and start companies.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, how about the actual process of moving to America? Because I think that's what a lot of people are curious about. What was
Mm.
that like for you?
So I applied to school in America. So I got into grad school program in New York City, and I studied there for a year or a year and a half. I graduated, and if you graduated from school in America, you will get a, like, what is it called, OPT period. So that's when you can legally work and get paid. So I did that, and because of the job that I had, I actually had to move back to Korea and move to Uganda, and 2 years back and moved back. So basically, it was, I'm not sure if it really helped your subscribers or viewers, but I really wanted to stay in America. So I try to find the perfect visa for me because there are so many different types of visas that you can apply for. And the one that I'm on is actually a startup visa. So if you have a business in America, you can get this visa. So that's what I chose.
I think what you just said, I think that would be good information. There are tons and tons of visas. So,
Mhm.
how did you find the right visa for you?
Mm, well, actually, before considering this visa, I applied. Actually, I found the sponsor company, and then they were actually they sponsored my visa, H1B visa actually, but that was under Trump administration, but it didn't go well. I mean, yeah, it took so much time that I just couldn't wait and wait and wait to get the visa. So I had to actually, like explore other options as well. So that's when I found this startup visa in America. But yeah, yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, let's imagine there's a high school student or a college student watching this video and they really, really want to eventually move and live in America like you. What advice would you have for them?
Whoa. Okay.
Sorry,
What are the
that's kind of a
advice?
serious question. I didn't mean to put you on the spot there.
No, no. It's a great question, but um, because there are so many things that I could share. I think. Um, Well, I think it depends on where you come from, actually. I'm from South Korea, and the culture in South Korea is significantly different from American culture. So that was the hardest part for me, actually, to move to America and to live in America. Um, because, like in Korea, we were taught to be a bit more, how can I say, a bit more reserved or a bit more, yeah, reserved in a way that we don't brag about ourselves, but we underestimate our values in many ways, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I wanted to ask you, Grant, because you lived in Korea. Did you also feel the cultural differences?
I did, yeah. I felt kind of the opposite of what you're talking about. You noticed all that about Americans, and when I came to
Yeah,
Korea, one of the first things I noticed, I was like, "Oh my god, everyone is so reserved and introverted out in public.
yeah.
Like nobody would even make eye contact with me, which was really really different from where I was from. The first week I was in Korea, I actually was a little bit worried that maybe I was doing something to offend people because on the
Oh,
subway, on the bus, just walking on the street, it's like nobody would look at me. They would all, be into their phones or just focused on
mhm.
whatever they're doing. So
Yeah.
that was a little bit different because where I'm from, people are pretty friendly, and even if they're strangers, you might smile or say hi or something like that.
Yeah, I love that part of America. You say how are you to even strangers on the street. Probably not in New York, but if you go to another part of America, then people actually say like how are you on the street to you, even though you haven't met the person before. So that exactly. So in especially in New York, I have to be more outgoing. I have to be super like energetic all the time, hyper energetic. But I feel like I'm more introverted than extroverted. So that was something that I had to actually change a little bit or try to change. But I don't think I can actually change it fundamentally. But at least I have to act like I'm one of the extroverts. So that was really difficult. So I would say like if America is such a huge country and West Coast culture is quite different from how East Coast culture, for example. So
Yeah.
I would advise that study different regions and how people behave or what kind of personality is more accepted in a way that that will really help you to find the best city for you in America. Um, I believe in New York City, like the city is the New York City. New York City is a little bit more busy and a little bit more career oriented and stuff. But if you go to West Coast, then I think people are more relaxed and laid back, and people appreciate nature more. They go out more. They do outdoorsy activities more and stuff like that. So if you're a nature person, and then if you love, going camping or doing these outdoors activities, then I think California would be a better fit for you.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing for people to recognize that there's no one standard American culture. If you go to different
Yeah.
cities and different areas, people act completely differently.
Yeah.
So yeah, but like you said, there's a place here for everyone. So maybe do a little bit of research before you are dead set on where you want to move and live.
Absolutely. I originally wanted to go to San Francisco. That was my first choice, but I didn't get into the school, my dream school. So my second option was Columbia University. That's why I decided to come to New York City. Um, but my life would have been very different if I had gotten accepted to the school that I wanted to go to in San Francisco. I'm sure everybody knows which university I'm talking about. But okay, so if I had been in San Francisco in the first place, then I think my life would have been built around California, around San Francisco, then probably, like it would have been very different. So just think
Oh yeah.
about what you want in your life and what kind of lifestyle you want to have. I think that would be one of the most important things to consider when you move to America. Yeah.
So my last question is, do you think someone needs perfect or nearly perfect English before moving to America?
Oh no, I really don't think so. Um, my English is not perfect, but I live and work in New York. And there are a lot of international people in big cities in America, like LA, New York, Chicago. San Francisco, probably there are more non-Americans than Americans in big cities. I don't know. I don't know the statistics. Yeah. So you don't have to speak perfect English, but what I want to emphasize is that you gotta be communicative. You gotta express your opinions in a like concise and effective way. That's all that matters, I believe. But it really depends on the job. If you're a writer, for example, then obviously you have to speak and write perfect English. But if you're, for example, if you're a programmer, you don't need to speak perfect English, but you need to be able to communicate with Americans in English. So it depends on the job, but before you move to America, no, because anyways, you will need some time to get adjusted to the American society, anyways. So you have some time to still improve your English while you're getting a job or while you're studying. So don't try to be perfect in English. You cannot. I mean, you can be almost like native speaker, but if you're like over 20, I believe it's almost impossible to speak like a native speaker. So you can get close, but it will be hard. But that's not a problem. Yeah, to live and work here.
Yeah, I'm really glad you said that. I think a lot of students that want to move to America are really worried that people will be offended or they'll get angry if their English isn't perfect. Have you experienced anything like that? Because I don't really see that being a problem.
Well, that's such a great question because no, your English is not a problem in America, but your confidence matters. That's how I have experienced so far in America. Like if you speak like you're not confident, or if you speak like you don't know about what you're talking about, then people will not really appreciate you. But even though you speak broken English, but you sound like you know what you're talking about and you're very confident, then people will want to listen to you. So what matters is actually make your voice really loud in America especially. In Korea, in Korea, we cannot speak so loudly in public because that's considered very rude. But in America, if you have very soft voice, then people wouldn't. I don't know. You tell me, Grant. I'm not sure, but that's how I feel. Like if you speak very softly, then people will not respect you.
I'm not sure if respect is the best word, but like they might not notice you enough.
Oh, maybe in New York, maybe it's a different thing
Okay,
in New
that's
York.
true. That's true. I mean, New York is a different area.
I don't know. You always have to show your confidence all the time. And when I'm talking to you now over, over this camera, I actually speak louder than my usual voice because I know that it's somehow like I just, act differently when I talk to people in public. But my usual me is more soft, and I speak softer, and I don't have these big gestures. But you kind of have to, show your confidence in a positive way, not in an arrogant way, but in a positive way. That's more important than speaking perfect English, I would say. What do you think, Grant?
Well, you seem very confident in this video, Summer, so you're doing a great job. Yeah, I definitely agree. I think even if your English isn't perfect, I think if your attitude is good and if you show that you're trying, that you're making the effort to communicate, I
Mm.
think almost all Americans, probably 99% of Americans, will appreciate that and will be grateful that you are trying to learn their language and trying to communicate in a way they understand. And then the 1% that is maybe rude to you, just forget about those
Yeah.
people. They suck.
Oh, that's really good to hear. Because I still meet some people who are not very nice to me. But as a foreigner in New York City, sometimes I think that, oh, that's because maybe I'm foreigner here. Oh, maybe that's because I don't speak perfect English. But it's not about me. It's about them not respecting others. So yeah, don't internalize others' issues into you.
Yeah, if one American is rude or says something about your English, that's just a bitter, unfriendly person. Don't worry about
Yeah,
that.
don't worry about that. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your time, Summer. This has been a really fun conversation, and I'm glad I got to meet you face to face. Or kind of
Thank
face to face, computer to computer.
Thank you so much for having me, and I hope that our conversation will help your viewers and subscribers. And um, if you and your viewer has any questions about living in America, living in New York City, leave a comment below. Then I will come by and try to answer your questions.
That would be awesome, Summer. Yeah, that sounds good. So, yeah, guys, if you have any questions, you can leave them below. And you should absolutely check out Summer's page, especially if you're a Korean, because most of your videos are like half Korean, half English, right? But you do have
Yeah.
she has some really interesting interviews with other entrepreneurs in New York, and those are basically all in English, right?
Right, that's true.
Yep, so I'll put a link to Summer's channel in the description, and you guys can check that out if you want to.
Great. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thanks again, Summer. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.